My friends, hello. So today I thought I'd talk a little bit about respect. Yesterday I talked about the ritual I have with my children to help them to develop respect for other people. There's a reason why respect is important to me, and it really stems out of my leadership journey. At the beginning of my career, I worked for a really incredible restaurant company that had a core value that was respect. To me at the time, that was a super easy catch-all to use as a weapon against people if they were being out of line or even slightly out of line. It was my way to write them up and to fire them. I would be able to point to something that they did and say it was disrespectful and you're violating core values, and therefore I'm going to write you up or I'm going to fire you. I had weaponized the core value essentially. That was not the right way to do it. That's not what a leader does. That is what a manager would do. And I was able to, help build a team that was pretty effective because of it. But it wasn't helpful because it wasn't actually developing people. I was just turning them over pretty rapidly too. I took that because I hadn't quite learned my lesson yet. I took that core value to the next company I worked for, where I had an opportunity to develop core values for a 70-year-old company. I included respect as one of those core values because I did really see it as valuable, and it was my loophole to get rid of people if they were a problem. What I realized though during that experience is just because I can demand respect through core tenets of an organization doesn't mean that respect is freely given. It still needs to be earned. And I hadn't realized that yet at the time. So I made respect part of a core value for that company, and then for another company that I worked with as well. And I was always in the position to help craft these tenets, and I have always believed respect is important, but I realized later that respect first from a leader needs to be given, and once it's given, it will likely over time be reciprocated. So what happens is you have these people who are working for you, and I'll tell you my experience. I had this gentleman who was working for me who was pretty toxic, and he was the kind of person that really no longer belonged with the company that I was serving at this time. He had been there for a long time, but the company had kind of grown past his old school behaviors, and he was problematic. He caused a lot of challenges and issues, and I had really zero patience for it, and used respect as a weapon again, as a core value weapon, and went to terminate him. But the problem was this guy was really productive, and he generated a lot of revenue for the company. So I couldn't just get rid of him like I had wanted to. So what I needed to do was I needed to figure out how to work with him. To work with him required that I had to look at him in a different way. That required that I actually respected what he brought to the table. And what he brought to the table was really good salesmanship. His behavior wasn't always appropriate, and his attitude was rarely appropriate, but he was good at selling. So what I did was I instead started to focus on what he did well instead of what he didn't do. And what was interesting is as I held him up and as I continued to respect and honor and prop up the good behavior, his bad behavior started to go away. So for you, what you have the opportunity to do is to be a leader, not a manager, and demonstrate respect for the other person first. We talk about it. You see people like The Rock on social media talking about how respect is earned. Respect is earned. And as a leader, you can choose to just give it freely. When you give respect freely to another person, what you'll find is over a period of time, they will begin to reciprocate respect to you, and you'll start getting things done the way you need them done as a leader.